Imagine waking up tomorrow, and every toilet on Earth has disappeared. No paper, no running water, nothing. What would you do? It sounds ridiculous, until you realize this wasn't a thought experiment. It was normal for almost every human who has ever lived. But here's the part most people get wrong. Most people think the biggest problem was having nothing to wipe with. It wasn't. The real danger came afterward. One bad habit could quietly spread disease, infect an entire group. And in the ancient world, there were no antibiotics, no hospitals, and no second chances. So how did ancient humans stay clean? Long before toilets, toilet paper, or soap ever existed. And what simple survival habit may have helped keep our ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years? Part 2. The problem was bigger than you think. Every single day, our ancestors faced a problem they couldn't ignore. Because unlike today, nature didn't wait until you got home. It could happen while you were hunting, while gathering food, or while traveling across miles of open land. And once it happened, they had to solve it immediately. Not because it was uncomfortable, because leaving human waste nearby could attract insects, contaminate water, and make the place where your family slept far more dangerous. Our ancestors didn't understand bacteria. They didn't know what germs were, but they didn't have to. Over thousands of generations, they learned something through experience. Some places made people sick, others didn't. Some habits kept a group healthier, others quietly spread disease. So instead of treating it as an embarrassing problem, they treated it as another part of survival. Just like finding food, just like making fire, just like avoiding predators. But that still leaves one question. If there was no toilet paper, what did they actually use? Part 3. Nature became the first bathroom. But here's what makes this story even stranger. The material itself wasn't the most interesting part. Leaves, water, grass, snow. They all solved the immediate problem. The bigger challenge came afterward, because staying clean wasn't the same as staying healthy. Without soap, without disinfectants, and without knowing that invisible germs even existed, how do you avoid making yourself and everyone around you sick? The answer may have created a survival habit that billions of people still follow today. Part 4. The habit that outlived civilization. The answer was simple. Water. Long before soap, people discovered that washing with water removed what wiping alone could not. They didn't know about germs. They couldn't see bacteria. They had no idea why some people became sick while others didn't. But over countless generations, they learned through experience. Some habits seemed to keep people healthier, others didn't. And those habits were passed from parents to children, long before anyone could explain why they worked. That's one reason water became such an important part of daily life in many ancient cultures. Even today, billions of people around the world still clean with water instead of toilet paper. Not because it's an old tradition, but because, in many cases, it simply cleans more effectively. And here's the surprising part. Toilet paper feels like the obvious solution, but for almost all of human history, it didn't exist. In fact, it only became common very recently, which means one of the most ordinary things in your bathroom today is actually one of the newest inventions in the entire human story. Part 5. The invention that came last. If toilet paper feels normal today, that's only because you were born into a world that already had it. For almost all of human history, it simply didn't exist. People had already learned to build cities, farm the land, and create powerful civilizations long before anyone thought of using paper in the bathroom. When paper finally did appear, it wasn't made for that purpose. It was used for writing, recording history, sharing ideas, only much later. People began using it for something far less glamorous. Even then, it wasn't available to everyone. For centuries, most people still relied on whatever their environment offered: water, leaves, grass, cloth, or other natural materials. Toilet paper didn't replace those habits overnight. In many parts of the world, it never did. Even today, billions of people still prefer washing with water, which means the way many of us use the bathroom today isn't the only normal way. It's simply the habit our culture inherited, and that's a reminder of something much bigger. Humans have never survived because we all found the same answer. We survived because we learned to adapt. And no ordinary habit proves that better than this one. Part 6. The hidden why. Maybe that's the strangest part of all. This was never really a story about toilet paper, or leaves, or water. It was a story about survival. Every single day, our ancestors faced a problem they couldn't avoid, and every single day, they found a way to solve it. Not because they were stronger than other animals, not because they knew about bacteria, and not because they had better technology. They survived because they adapted. Different environments created different solutions. A family living beside a river washed with water. Someone crossing frozen land used snow. Others relied on whatever nature placed within reach. Different answers to the exact same problem. And that's how humans have solved almost every challenge throughout history. We don't wait for the perfect solution. We use the best one available. Then we improve it. Again and again. Today, you probably walk into a clean bathroom, use toilet paper or water, wash your hands, and leave without thinking twice about it. But every one of those simple habits exists because countless generations of people slowly discovered what worked, long before they understood why it worked. Sometimes, the biggest stories in human history aren't about kings or wars or great inventions. Sometimes, they begin with an ordinary question that almost nobody thinks to ask. How did ancient humans actually wipe? And the answer was never just about staying clean. It was about how one small everyday habit helped a fragile species survive long enough to build the world we live in today.